The castle created in the sky by Kardama Muni may be called a castle in the air. But by his mystic power of yoga, Kardama Muni actually constructed a huge castle in the air. To our feeble imagination, a castle in the sky is an impossibility. But if we scrutinizingly consider the matter, we can understand that it is not impossible at all. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead can create so many planets, carry millions of castles in the air, a perfect yogi like Kardama Muni can easily construct one castle in the air. The castle is described as Sarva Kama Dugham, yielding whatever one desired. It was full of jewels. Even the pillars were made of pearls and valuable stones. These valuable jewels and stones were not subject to deterioration, but were everlastingly and increasingly opulent. We sometimes hear of castles thus bedecked on the surface of the earth also. The castles constructed by Lord Krishna for his 16,108 wives were so bedecked with jewels that there was no need of lamping light during the night. So, just see how wonderful acts are performed by the mercy of the Lord, by the devotees. Kardama Muni has created a mansion in the air. And the mansion is described to be bedecked with all sorts of jewels, adorned with pillars of precious stones, capable of yielding whatever one desired. It was equipped with every form of furniture, wealth, which tended to increase in the course of time. Just visualize this. And he created this in the air. And after creating it in the air, he walked through it and he was also surprised. He was also surprised. Oh, so beautiful. This. That is how these kind of anything that the devotee performs, it is a gift from the Lord. Therefore, after he receives, he has to walk in and see how is it. It's not that through some mechanical phenomena or manipulation of gross material energy, this palace was built. It was not even built. It was ready-made. The power of sankalpa of a pure devotee. If he has to do something, then any miracle can be done. And Prabhupada explains here very beautifully. Krishna is allowing his devotee to do this miracle of creating a castle in the air, which even imagination cannot think of the beauty of the precious jewels, stones and everything that is used. Chintamani, desire-yielding stones. Whatever one desired, capable of yielding whatever one desires. That kind of opulence, that kind of mystic power, a devotee who is part and parcel of God, who is a small amsha. Prabhupada says it is not difficult to understand that whether that a person, a soul can create this, because God, who is the Purna, who is full, Krishna, who is the original personality, from whom everything is coming, aham sarvasya prabho mata sarvam pravartata, from whom everything else is coming out. material and spiritual worlds, everything emanating from Him. That personality, Supreme Personality of Godhead, He says, He has created so many planets in the air. And here is one castle in the air which is desire-fulfilling castle. And God creates millions of planets which are nothing but desire-fulfilling planets. Every planet is a desire-fulfilling planet. That is why our desires are getting fulfilled. The material world, everybody's desires are... The world is nothing but desire-fulfilling world. People desire, fulfill. Desire, fulfill. But only thing is, they have to desire. These planets are a different type of... It's not like Chintamani. You have to work. That's all. This world is a restaurant where continuously you are served what you have cooked. Every individual, sukha, dukkha, whatever he cooks, he can eat. That is this world. This world is that. But we cannot forget that this world is also a desire-fulfilling world. It is a very unique feature of this material world. This kind of desire fulfilling means as you sow, so you reap, you earn and you enjoy. Everybody in this material world is after enjoyment. Enjoyment for their body, enjoyment for their senses, enjoyment for their mind, enjoyment for their intelligence, enjoyment for their false egos, social egos. There is nothing other than this. Continuously, everybody is catering to these five things. And they're all sensations, that's all, because it comes and it goes. Nothing lasts. Nobody's enjoyment lasts. Nobody's situation also lasts. And even senses don't last. Sense objects also don't last. Your senses also don't last. No? Because you give up this body, you take another body. Even within this body, your senses are changing. Assuming this body, it is not changing. But at the time of death, all your senses are changed. So entire material existence is a temporary phenomena for temporary rasa. Different kinds of rasa. That is what the foundation of existence is rasa. Anandamayobhyasat. That is the principle of spiritual and material existence. And for this, the Lord is having unlimited energies. Spiritual energies, material energies, marginal energies, jiva shaktis. They're all coming from Him. And then with each of the things that comes from Him, He relates with them. Why does somebody create a toy? To play with, no? Is it not? So Krishna is like that. Spiritual world, material world, every energies are He is Bhoktaram, Yajna Tapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Karmi is also there worshipping Krishna. But they don't know. But that is not a favorable worship. Karmi is also surrendered. But they are surrendered to Maya. Through Maya they are surrendering. Because they have to surrender. There is no question of anybody being free. You have to surrender. You have to respond to the three modes of material nature. You cannot stop anything. We are simply residing this body and we have got little freedom. That's all. But we are dictated. Every moment we are dictated in so many different ways. And within that dictation, we have to engage our free will. And according to that, we earn our future enjoyment, future. This is the perspective, Vedic perspective of this universe. And Paramatma is there in every living entity is there. So this material world is also Paramatma's Leela for Jiva Shaktis, for his living entities, marginal energy to interact with him in the form of his material energy. Krishna is everywhere. Ekopesore Chetam Jagadhanda Koti. He is everywhere. One truth, Krishna, Sarva Karna Karna. I, in my unmanifested form, pervade this entire universe, Krishna says. In unmanifest form, he is there. Some form, he is there. Unmanifest form means he does not show his form to everybody. Krishna came 5,000 years back, that was manifest form. Hare Krishna Mahamantra is manifest form. When you don't chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Krishna is there in the unmanifest form. When you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he is available in that manifest form. And Krishna's Leela is love hungry. For every jiva's love is hungry. Is infinite. His capacity to take love is infinite. Just like if you think there is, your capacity to take food is limited. Suppose you had an infinite stomach, infinite digesting capacity. Then you'll go on wanting more and more, isn't it? You have no limit. Infinite stomach, infinite taste for tongue, infinite enjoying capacity. That is God. He can take seva from infinite living entities. Personally, etamam prabhatyante tams bhajameham. That is the principle of existence. Any place you take, you will see Krishna's some form of his expression is there. You take Karmi's life, what is that form of expression? Law of karma. Kala. He is acting on them. Kala is there. Kala is nothing but Krishna. But Krishna, as Kala, is the right kind of reciprocation. Ye tamam prabhantite tam satya bhajamiyam means for those who are not surrendering to me in my personal form, here Kala is there. I am Kala. So just see, Krishna enjoys as Kala, Krishna enjoys as Paramatma, Krishna enjoys as Narayana in the spiritual world. Krishna enjoys, what is the capacity of Krishna to enjoy? So these Shaktis of the Lord are true and they are real energies of the Lord. This is not illusion. The temporary forms that these things take is illusion. This building may not last more than 100 years, 150 years. It will go back to earth. Civilization may not last. None of us sitting here will be here to see whether this building stands or civilization will stand. But the fact is that this energy is a reality. God is a person with unlimited Shaktis. This principle of a person with Shakti is the characteristic of Vaishnava Siddhanta. In the Mayavada philosophy, impersonal philosophy, there is category, this Shakti, Shaktiman is not there. There is only one Nirguna Brahman, and everything else is illusion. Illusion suffered by that Brahman. Not that nothing exists here, according to them. But we say yes. Just like if there is out of earth you can make a pot. You can make a spoon. You can make different shapes of clay things. But when the clays break, it becomes back to the clay. In the same way, clay is a truth. Clay pots may not be, is not truth in this material world. The spiritual world, clay is true, clay pots also true. Here clay pots are illusion. They dissolve back. But it is the basic energy is true, and the creation activities, how this forms, temporary forms itself, how is it formed? That is also true energies of the Lord. He empowers Brahma to create all these things, variegatedness. How can Brahma act without Shakti? Today with some Shakti only you can create, you can deal with material energy. So in spiritual life, we have to understand that power is a reality. There's a tendency for us to cloud this understanding because of generally Mayavada's tendency, because we are towards detachment. We are also another route we take for detachment. We want to detach not because this power is illusion. We want to detach because if it is in service of Maya, I don't want. If it is in service of Krishna, then power is a reality, it's absolute. This world is absolute. Illusion is in the mind of the living entities. If you make a pot out of clay, till the clay is broken and merges into the earth, is a pot reality? Similarly, this is a reality. The entire existence of material world is happening in a kshana of Mahavishnu. Creation. Time is protracted so that these living entities can take their journey. It's unfathomable existence. We are able to talk all these things only because in Bhagavad Gita, God himself came and told this is what it is. Krishna himself came and told this is what it is. Who I am, what I have created, who are you, who are the demigods, what is birth, what is death. Everything is, today we are able to understand this, otherwise we will also be speculating, because God himself has spoken. We believe it. Whereas the impersonalist, they interpret Bhagavad Gita minus Krishna. Entire basis of Bhagavad Gita is Krishna is saying that, look, I am here, I am God. This is the basis of Bhagavad Gita. And the Mayavadis take this and say, ultimately, there is no God. The same book they take and said, there is no God. For that they have to interpret. Bhagavad Gita they have to interpret. That's why Prabhupada doesn't say interpretation. He says purport. Because they have to give another meaning other than direct meaning, they have to interpret. Just like Sarvadharman Pariteja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vrija, Krishna is standing before Arjuna and telling him, you surrender unto me. Prabhupada says, one famous commentary of Bhagavad Gita says that surrender means not to the form which is before Arjuna, but to something which is inside the form of that Brahman. To that he is telling to surrender. Where does it say? It's an ordinary conversation. Krishna is standing before him and says, surrender to me. I am here, surrender to me. So our source of all this evidence for what we are talking about is God's own words, who appeared 5,000 years back. He talks about Brahma's time, he talks about this world, about Pralaya, everything, creation, how he creates. Everything in short he has told. What all the entire mysteries of the universe he has actually revealed. So basically the point here is that a Vaishnava understands, he feels for power. If you don't feel for power, you cannot feel God's power. The tendency is when we become sadhus, we say, power is Maya. Power is Maya. Yeah, power for oneself is Maya. But power is a reality. There cannot be Krishna's Leela without power. There cannot be Krishna's Leela without Antaranga Shakti, without internal potency, external potency, Maya Devi, all those things. Without all those Shaktis, there cannot be Krishna's Leela. Krishna's Leela is going on in the Goloka Vrindavana, going on in Vaikuntha Loka. Krishna's Leela is going on in this world also. There is nothing in existence which is not the Lord's will. In that sense, you can say it is Krishna's Leela. His sweet Leela may be in the Goloka Vrindavana. His harsh Leelas will be here in this material world. Therefore, you see all kinds of miseries and everything. He got given full freedom to Jiva Shakti. Krishna wants to cultivate every living entity's free will. That is why this law of karma is there. He wants to cultivate, he wants to make you rich with your free will. Because free will can give you wonderful gifts when it is engaged in loving relationship with God. So to develop a sense of responsibility for your free will, I am responsible for this action. That is a very special gift in the human form of life. In animal form of life, this opportunity to culture responsibility in relationship, responsibility in handling energies, people, that is not there. That is there in the human form of life. So all the dharmic principles are based on this, culturing the responsibility of how your free will can be cultured. And only if your free will is highly cultured, you can enter the spiritual world. And the basis of culturing free will is to respect others' free will. There is nothing to culture if there was no other free wills to clash. In the material world, everybody's free will is clashing. Because everybody's free will is self-centered. It's clashing. But when we come to Krishna consciousness, it's all aligned towards one center. Just see, so many devotees in this temple. We are still in the material world. Vaikuntha is like this. Thanks to Srila Prabhupada, who demonstrated, created models of Vaikuntha in this material world. What is that? Everybody is serving Krishna. He's thinking how I'll serve. Cook is thinking how I'll do my service. Cleaning devotee is thinking how I can do my service. To whom? To Krishna. Cook for Krishna. Collect for Krishna. Manage for Krishna. Preaches Bhagavad Gita for Krishna. And can you find this anywhere else? You cannot find. So if a devotee learns how to live around the deity in a temple and engage in devotion service, he's actually training himself how to live in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha. How to keep Krishna in the center and always engage in devotion service, how to respect other Vaishnavas, how to respect their free will. I cannot be greater than Krishna. Krishna gives them the free will. Krishna gives free will to devotees to bloop also. What can you do? That is the way of them. Okay, you may feel sad, but that's the way of the existence. In so many lives we have take devotion service. Each one of us have blooped many times. We have blooped from Krishna consciousness many, many times. Then each life again we come back and we again get hooked on to devotion service because Paramatma is tracking. He never forgets. A devotee starts a path, he never forgets. But the Lord is Lord in the heart is very happy if the devotee understands and what Srila Prabhupada has said. Yes, I want to finish everything in this one life. I have no guarantee. I may roam around. When I will get an opportunity to become a Vaishnava again. See, when we have something, we think it is very easy. There are so many people in Bangalore city who do not even know who is Prabhupada. They may not even know there is a temple like this. We think here that everybody knows ISKCON temple in Bangalore. Only few people. One time I was going very far away. I went the other side, Whitefield, far away. ISKCON temple, I said. I was telling to somebody about it. He didn't even know. So I was telling, how come? We sit here in illusion. There are crores of people in this Bangalore city who do not know what is ISKCON. And there is a ISKCON. First, they do not know. Then question of what is ISKCON. Then the question of who is Prabhupada. So what are the chances of us getting hooked on to Krishna consciousness? So if by good fortune you have got hooked on to Krishna consciousness, it is the transcendental mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Propping up ISKCON temples, propping up temples of Hare Krishna movement on this earth is a Vaikuntha mission. It is a mission of the Lord. Deity's holy name, Prasadam, amazing. Vaikuntha embassies there. We have to create embassies. More and more embassies we have to create. So Bangalore will need 8-10 temples like this. Not one temple, 8-10 temples. Then there is a possibility that, no doubt here, Rajajinagar, Malleshwaram, everybody knows ISKCON temple. Like Prabhupada said, you can have dozens of temples in Bombay. Because in those days, Bombay was like that. He did not think there should be only one temple in Shiva. So there should be dozens of temples, he said. And we have got that kind of a, we have got something to give to everybody. For that we need distribution centers. And these are the temples. Any questions?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
My question is related to the power, Prabhu. The material world is running behind the power. And we understand this power is a reality. And how does this tendency comes in the jiva?
How does this tendency for?
Power tendency to gaining the power. And how it's related to, is it due to the desire? How do we understand this power tendency in the jiva? How does it come?
The owner of all power is God. He is the proprietor of all energies. Power includes, I am not only talking about power, energy, this matter, these are all power, energy. Then matter is just nothing but condensed power. Energy of the Lord. Lord is separate, energy of the Lord. At the same time, Lord is also, you cannot separate because the energies are coming from the Lord. So there is a difference and there is no difference. This Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. God is one with every creation, at the same time He is different. He is different because with everything He plays. He plays with everything. So, the living entity being part and parcel of God, He also has power. But it is, part is given the power from Krishna. All power is His. For a particular function, for instance, you suppose somebody has a very big estate. In his estate, he will give one of his employees, okay, you take care of this 10 acres. And he has to do, he has to exercise his free will power, he has to manage that 10 acres, isn't it? That means that power is given to him. But he knows the owner is the king, but he has his small estate. So entire material existence is Krishna's estate. This is not figurative. This is not a figurative statement I am making. It is a reality, it is his estate. Because too much impersonalism in our mind, we think this is also figurative. No. Think of an unlimited owner. It is his estate. Entire material existence, all Brahmandas, it is all his estate. So in his estate, each living entity is given. Demigods are given, we are given. We all handle power with our free will. Isn't it? So everything is reduced to one simple, philosophy, neti, and go and merge in Brahman. What is that? That is why they can never answer. The impersonal philosophy can never answer then. Why all this creation? If I am Nirguna Brahman, then why all this creation? For whose purpose this creation is there? Variegatedness. There is no answer. But we understand, yes, this variegatedness is a perverted reflection of the variegatedness of the spiritual world. Man is there in the material world because there is man in the man's form in the spiritual world. Woman form is there because woman's form is there. Cows are here because cows are there. Beautiful animals, beautiful birds are here. There are beautiful birds and animals there also. In different rasa. Beautiful forests, trees, oceans, water bodies, mountains. They are there in this material world. It is there in the spiritual world. Therefore, it's here. Man gets pleasure looking at a beautiful scenery in this material world. You go to the Himalayas, snow-clad mountains. You feel exhilarated seeing the beauty. Why? We cannot reduce all these things to nothingness. Beautiful relationships, loving relationships, in the material world also. But it is all pervertedly duplicated. But the sample is kept in this world for us to know. So one day you will ask, oh, this, I enjoyed so much love with this person. Suddenly he died. Oh, what is this? Where can there be permanent love? So everywhere sample is given. Only if you sample, if you give only, you will buy the rest, no? Right? A material energy, sample rasa is given. So now you start and where I can get permanent rasa. Then you jijnasa atato Brahma jijnasa will start. So therefore, power is here, power is there. The way of handling power in the material world is self-centered. The way of handling power in the spiritual world is Krishna-centered. Krishna-centered power handling is called surrender. Self-centered power handling is called lauding. What you can do here, you cannot do in the spiritual world. But what you can do in the spiritual world, if you want, you can do here. A person can execute pure devotional service here. Just like in this temple, we can create that, a spiritual world. But you cannot create a material world's embassy in the spiritual world. Not possible. Krishna is wonderful. As we read and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, his activities, then we really become personalists. We understand. Otherwise you will think, ultimately everything is temporary, no? Why Bhagavatam is talking about Devahuti, Kapila, beautiful castle in the air, and one line philosophy should be over. This is all Maya. But Bhagavatam is continually talking about this, forcing us to discuss all these things. Why? Because these are all symbols of absolute pleasure. We need to, only in human form you can understand this. Is just like, these are all like dictionary. If you are building up your vocabulary, can you teach all these things to the animals? Cannot. So in human, that's why human form of life is very rare. Because here you learn all these symbols of higher forms of rasa. So that we know with Krishna as a center, ultimate perfection in life is perfection of rasa with Krishna. Relationship with Krishna. Not ultimate, penultimate, present also. Even in the conditioned state, even as a sadhaka, my daily goal of life should be relationship with Krishna. The way in which that relationship is expressed is different for a sadhaka and for a pure devotee. But the fact is same. Everybody is in relationship with Krishna. Especially so if he is chanting 16 rounds. Any other questions? Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.